Welcome to my channel Karma Romance Stories. Please like, subscribe for more videos.
Imagine working for years to build an investment portfolio worth $145,000. You never showed off about it. You never bragged about it. You simply kept investing because you believed your future should never depend on anyone else. Then one afternoon, your mother calls you and casually says that your sister has been given access to your investment account. You ask her why. Her answer leaves you speechless. She says we added her so she can access your $145,000 portfolio. What your mother does not know is that you had already liquidated the entire portfolio days earlier. There is only $8.50 left in the account, and when your family finally discovers what you did, the person who thought she had won is the one who loses everything. Stay until the end, because the final conversation between the sisters changes the entire family forever. The voice you selected does not support this language. Please click the upper right corner to switch to another voice. My name is Emily, and for most of my life, I was the quiet daughter in my family. I was never the one demanding attention. I never asked my parents to rescue me. I never expected my sister to understand me. I simply learned very early that if I wanted something in life, I would have to build it myself. My younger sister Jessica was completely different. She was confident. She was social. She always knew how to convince people that she deserved another chance. Whenever she made a mistake, someone usually fixed it for her. When we were children, my parents called it love. When we became adults, they still called it love. But I eventually realized that there was a difference between helping someone and constantly protecting them from the consequences of their choices. I started investing when I was in my 20s. At first, I invested small amounts from every paycheck. I did not have a huge salary, and there were many years when putting money aside was difficult. But I kept going. Every month, I treated investing like a bill that had to be paid. Before buying expensive things. Before taking unnecessary trips. Before spending money simply because I wanted something. I paid myself first. Over the years, those small decisions became something much bigger. Eventually, my investment portfolio reached approximately $145,000. That number meant much more to me than money. It represented years of discipline. It represented every weekend I'd worked, every vacation I had skipped, every expensive purchase I had avoided, every time I told myself that my future mattered more than temporary comfort. I never told my family the exact amount. They knew I invested, they knew I was careful with money, but I never gave them access to my accounts. That changed during a family dinner. My sister Jessica had been talking about her financial problems again. She had recently made another poor business decision. She had borrowed money from our parents. She had missed several payments. She had also started talking about starting another business. My father looked at me and said something I had heard many times before. "Emily, you're good with money. Maybe you can help your sister." I smiled politely. I told him I could give her advice, but I could not give her control over my finances. My mother immediately became uncomfortable. She said I was being too protective. I asked what she meant. She said families should trust each other. I looked at Jessica. She was sitting quietly. But there was something about her expression that bothered me. She was not offended. She looked hopeful. That was the first warning sign. A few days later, my mother called me. She sounded completely normal. She asked how work was going. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. "We added Jessica to your investment account so she can access your portfolio if she needs to." For a few seconds, I did not answer. I thought I had misunderstood her. I asked her to repeat herself. She said it again. "We added her so she can access your $145,000 portfolio." I asked who gave her permission to do that. My mother became defensive. "We are your parents. We were only trying to make things easier for the family." I told her that my investment account was mine. She said Jessica would not do anything without permission. I asked how they could be so sure. My mother said because she was my sister. That sentence told me everything I needed to know. And my family, being related, had somehow become more important than respecting boundaries. I did not argue. I did not scream. I did not threaten anyone. I simply said, okay. My mother seemed surprised. She probably expected a fight. Instead, I ended the call. Then, I opened my investment account. I checked every security setting. I checked the account information. I checked recent activity, every notification, and that was when I made a decision. I was not going to wait until my family decided that my money was family property. I contacted my financial institution directly through the official contact information associated with my account. I explained that I had concerns about unauthorized access and wanted to secure my account. I asked what permissions existed and what changes were necessary. Then I made the decision to liquidate my investments. I did not do it because I hated my sister. I did not do it because I wanted revenge. I did it because I no longer trusted the people around me to respect the boundary between my money and their expectations. The process took time. There were tax consequences and other financial considerations. I understood that, but I wanted control of my assets again. When the transactions were complete, I moved the proceeds into an account that my family had no access to. I deliberately left approximately $8.50 in the old investment account. Not because I was trying to create a dramatic moment. I simply wanted the account to remain open while I resolved everything properly with the financial institution. Then I waited. For 3 days, nothing happened. Then Jessica called. She sounded excited. She said, "Mom told me everything." I asked what everything meant. She laughed. She said about the investment account. Then she said something that I will never forget. "You should have told me you were finally going to help me." I asked her what she meant. She said she was planning to use part of the portfolio as a foundation for her new business. I asked who told her she could use my money. She became quiet. Then she said, "Mom and Dad said I had access." I asked her whether she had personally contacted the investment company. She said she did not need to because Mom had already handled it. That was when I understood how serious the situation had become. My parents had made decisions about my financial account without properly discussing them with me. I told Jessica that there was nothing available for her. She laughed. She said that was not funny. I said I was not joking. She asked what I had done. I told her I had liquidated the portfolio. There was silence. Then she said, "You did what?" I repeated it. I told her there was approximately $8.50 left in the old account. Jessica became angry. She accused me of deliberately humiliating her. I told her I had not touched her money. I had protected mine. She said I was selfish. I asked her whether she believed she had a right to my money simply because our parents said she could access it. She did not answer. Instead, she hung up. 20 minutes later, my father called. He was furious. He said I had embarrassed the entire family. I asked him why. He said Jessica had already made plans based on the money. I said that was not my responsibility. He said family does not behave like this. I replied that family also does not give away someone else's financial access without permission. There was silence. Then my father said something that hurt more than his anger. "Your sister needs that money more than you do." That sentence changed something inside me. For years, I had believed my family simply misunderstood my choices. That day, I realized they understood perfectly. They simply valued Jessica's needs more than my boundaries. My mother called later that evening. She was crying. She said I had made Jessica feel betrayed. I asked her whether she understood how I felt. She said this was different. I asked how. She could not explain. Then she said something that revealed the entire problem. "We thought you would eventually share it anyway." I asked her why she thought that. She said, "Because you are responsible." That was the family role I had been trapped inside for years. Because I was responsible. Because I saved money. Because I worked hard. Because I did not constantly ask for help. Everyone assumed I had more than enough. And because I had more discipline than my sister, they believed my money should compensate for her lack of it. I did not yell at my mother. I simply told her that being responsible did not mean being available for everyone else's financial emergencies. A week later, the family gathered at my parents' house. Jessica was there. My father was there. My mother was there. I almost did not go. But I decided that if I was going to establish a boundary, I needed to say it clearly. My father started the conversation. He said everyone had made mistakes. He said the family needed to move forward. Jessica said I had destroyed her plans. I asked her what plans she had made. She said she had already spoken to people about opening her business. I asked whether she had promised them my money. She said she expected access. I asked her again, "Did you promise other people that you would use my investment money?" She looked away. That answer was enough. My mother started crying again. She said nobody intended to steal anything. I told her I knew. I said the problem was that nobody asked me. That was the moment my father finally became quiet. I explained that I had worked for every dollar. I explained that my investment portfolio was not a family emergency fund. It was not a backup account for Jessica. It was not a retirement account for my parents. The voice you selected does not support this language. Please click the upper right corner to switch to another voice. But forgiveness did not mean access. She said she understood. Then she asked whether I still had the money. I said I had protected it. She asked whether I was going to invest again. I told her yes, but this time I would be much more careful about who knew the details. The experience changed the way I looked at family. I stopped confusing love with unlimited access. I stopped believing that saying no made me selfish. And most importantly, I stopped apologizing for protecting something I had worked years to build. My parents eventually apologized. My father admitted that they had handled the situation badly. My mother admitted that she had assumed I would sacrifice because I had always been the responsible daughter. I told them I loved them, but love could no longer mean financial permission. From that day forward, my financial information stayed private. My sister eventually rebuilt her life without my investment money. It was slower than she wanted, but it was hers, and strangely enough, that became the best outcome for everyone. Because for the first time, Jessica had to build something without depending on someone else's money. Months later, I looked at my new investment plan. The number was smaller than $145,000 because I had moved into a different financial strategy and dealt with the consequences of liquidating the old portfolio. But I felt richer than before, not because of the amount, because I finally knew that my future was under my control. The old account still had that tiny balance for a while, $8.50. It became a private reminder of the entire experience. My family had believed they had access to $145,000, In reality, they had access to nothing, because money does not become yours simply because someone tells you that you deserve it. And sometimes, the most powerful financial decision you can make is not earning more money. It is learning who should never have access to what you worked so hard to build. The voice you selected does not support this language. Please click the upper right corner to switch to another voice. That experience taught me a lesson I will never forget. People can love you and still make terrible decisions about your boundaries. People can call themselves family and still feel entitled to what you earned. And sometimes saying no is not cruelty. Sometimes saying no is the only way to protect your future. My parents thought they were giving my sister access to my $145,000 investment portfolio. They did not know I had already taken control of my money. They thought they were opening a door for her. Instead, they taught me to close the door permanently, and that tiny $8.50 left in the account became the symbol of the entire story. They thought they were looking at what I had. I was looking at what I refused to lose. If you have ever been pressured to give money to someone simply because they're family, then remember this: your hard work is not a family entitlement. Your boundaries are not disrespect.